Well, good afternoon, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. We're doing a little update here from Vegas. DMV, what's up, man? How you doing, man? He is there in Vegas. And what happens in Vegas, is it staying in Vegas?
Nah, apparently not. Because if you've been following my Twitter and you've been following my YouTube, you know that I've been pretty much talking about everything. So, hey.
Well, let's get to it. I know you got a weigh-in to go into because, ladies and gentlemen,
let's get ready to rumble!
All right, I'm here at Draft Central here. It's quiet right now. The lights are down low. Last night, you were pissed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not as pissed anymore because I had a chance to break him down. And while there are some things that he's very raw at, and I personally don't think that moving him to guard is the greatest thing in the world to do. They're going to do it regardless. So
that's what they always do. I mean, they take tackles and, we're smarter than everybody else. He's really a guard. But I think he might be the heir apparent to Tyron Smith. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah. And to me, that's a pussyfooting way of doing it.
No.
If you're gonna replace Tyron, replace Tyron.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you were gonna do that, and that's how you thought, you should have got Slater last year instead of Parsons. And I know that there's a couple of people who believe that. While we love Micah Parsons, my thing is we're gonna have an insurance policy, so we're gonna put him in that guard, and he'll be our tackle and waiting. Nobody else does that shit.
I think back to the Washington football team back in the 80s. I'm trying to think of it. Was it Raleigh McKenzie? They had a guy who could play any of the positions on the line. And I can understand the philosophy because I think of it this way. If you have a guy who can play guard and tackle, and we know Tyron Smith's going to go out. Let's be clear here. We know the big guy is not going to hold up all season. Yeah. If you have a guy who can swing, who can truly play multiple positions, and I think they thought Terrence Steele could do that, because they took him from right and swung him to the left.
Until they realized he couldn't do it.
Yeah. And not everybody can do that. But if you have a guy like that, then that at least affords you to be able to say, if somebody goes out, we can still have the best five here, as opposed to saying we got a right tackle and a backup right tackle and a right guard and a back. You can have, 6 or 7 guys. I can understand the philosophy on it. And I look at it from the standpoint of they realize that the end is near, at least for Tyron.
Gotcha.
Maybe. I mean, it could have been worse. We could have taken 3 picks and moved up for a wide receiver.
So what do good teams do when they have a good player and their end is near? What do they do?
Oh, they trade him and try and get something out of him, or they just get rid of him.
Thank you. So if that's your thought,
but we're not talking about good teams. We're talking about the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. And I know that Tyron Smith is a Hall of Famer and all of that stuff. But, I got a lot of flack for, Tony Romo at the end there, too. And I kept saying it's time for Tony Romo to retire because Tony Romo couldn't stay upright. You couldn't go out there. Every time Tony Romo went back, you figured one of 3 things was going to happen. 1, he was going to make an incredible play. 2, he was going to do a Tony Ono. Or 3, he was going to get injured and not get up, and then we'd have nobody to go to. Mm-hmm. And it's like at that point, when it gets to be at that's time to walk away. And that's where you are with Tyron Smith at every game. Is this going to be the game that he gets injured and he's not going to be the same for the rest of the season? It honestly is. Yeah. So for me, do you think that this pick, and I'm just going to ask you this question, even though it's your show, do you think that this hurts some of the, like for example, McGovern or Terrence Steele, us picking him?
I don't think it hurts Terrence Steele. I think it hurts McGovern. Or he's got to bust his ass because this is it for McGovern. This is a contract year for him, so he's got to show up.
He can do. I don't think there's anything he can do because they drafted this guy
in the first round.
And in a position where he has to play now. I don't think there's anything he can do.
That's true. Or if McGovern plays really good, maybe you look at it and say, you know what? Maybe the future's now for Tyron Smith. The bigger question is, is where do we go from here? Because, all right, so we got a piece here to try and help up the offensive line. At least they recognize the offensive line is a problem. I'm happy that we recognize. There's no guarantee that this guy is going to be good. There's no guarantee that he's going to be bad. Because people passed on Terrence Steele for 7 rounds, and Terrence Steele actually is pretty good, right?
Yeah, he ended up being better than most of the guys that were drafted ahead of him, actually. So
a lot of people thought Eric Flowers was going to be a great tackle, and he went in the first round to the Giants, and
the draft was a crap shoot.
So, everybody being pissed off right now, and, we suck and all. It's like, you know what? It seems like the Cowboys usually go against what the natural grain is in drafting, but they seem to at least find players. The drafting hasn't been the problem with the Cowboys. The fact is they just don't add enough extra with free agency. That's their problem.
Yeah. In my opinion, it's not just that, though, Mark. I also think they get pigeonholed with certain guys
in
the draft process. And I don't think they really do their due diligence throughout because there's no way in hell that you're going to sit here and tell me that Tyler Smith was higher on your board than Zion Johnson and Kenyon Green. That's
the one that was like,
That's what makes me mad. If you felt like you got a good player and you felt like you're comfortable, why does Jerry Jones have to come to a conference with the damn piece of paper and explain it to us? Why do you have to do that?
Yeah.
Because you knew it was going to piss off fans, and it didn't make sense. I mean,
they're almost. It's like everything they do now is justifying what they do, and you make a great point. I hadn't even thought about it from that standpoint. With him just trying to say, he's the best one we had. He's the guy we wanted, and everybody's shits and giggles. All right, but it is what it is, and the Cowboys, they have all the money, they own the team, they're going to do whatever the hell they want to, and it doesn't matter what we think. So the question is which direction do you think that they're going to go here? Okay, now we got to tackle. Do we look at this and say last year was the defensive friendly draft, and we went ahead and said we drafted almost everything defense, and are we going to do the same on the offense this year? Do we look and say, let's maybe look at some other offensive linemen here, or do we now go for the wide receiver? Do we say, okay, there's some good edge rushers out here? What would you do? Which would be probably opposite of what the Cowboys would do.
Yeah. What I would do is going to be actually, here's the thing, though, Mark. Us picking Tyler Smith shouldn't change where the Cowboys are going with the draft, because if you got Kenyon Green or you got Zion Johnson, you're still in the same boat. While I think those guys are better players, you got your starting guard. Now you can still get a receiver. You can still get a linebacker. So you're not really off course with this pick. So that's one thing people have to look at. Second, you asked me like where do I think they're going to go? Honestly, with them having Tyler Smith above Zion Johnson and Kenyon Green and some of those edge rushers and linebackers out there, I really don't know where their board is. So it's really hard for me to call. For me, what would I do next? It really just depends on who's the best player available, because there's still some tight ends there. And for me, I'm big on building the 12 personnel. I would
love to work on that.
I'm totally against the whole, getting another receiver thing, because we tried the 3 receiver thing. That's what we've done for years, and it just hasn't panned out.
And for those of you that don't understand what 12 personnel is, basically that's a 2 tight end set. If you have 2 tight ends, basically one of your tight ends is going to be your receiver. I know a lot of people the younger guys. The younger guys love 4 wideouts and things like that, and they just want to, just bombs away. But when you're bombs away, it doesn't eat up much of the clock. It keeps your defense on the field and things like that. With the 12 personnel and having two tight end sets, and the Cowboys have been very good at it. It's actually one of the few things that if we were going to say the Cowboys had an identity, you might say it was 12 personnel was their bread and butter on there. But once Blake Jarwin was hurt, they weren't quite as effective with it. But it allows you to do whatever the defense doesn't. If they're an 8-man, 8 men in the box, you can go ahead and use, the two tight ends become receivers. And with Tony Pollard, this is where it could be interesting. With Tony Pollard could be like the reverse Deebo Samuels, where Deebo's a receiver / running back. This is a running back / receiver. If you've got 12 personnel and you got two tight ends that can actually catch the football, they've got 8 men in the box. You got Tony Pollard out there. Split him out wide. He's now a wide out. And you've got now numbers with the receivers and stuff. Boom, quick hit him. Because now you got linebackers trying to cover, Tony Pollard coming out the backfield and stuff. So, yeah, I agree with you on the 12 personnel. So that would be get a tight end.
Yeah, that's where my mind is thinking. And then I also think about this if you need to get a receiver. Dallas is going to have money, especially when Tyron Smith, not Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, when we get that $10 million from him post June
1st.
They'll be able, June 1st, they'll be able to, sign somebody who's probably better than what they'll draft at this point. And maybe it's for a year, maybe it's, whatever. But, I personally think they should try and go the 12 route, try and get a linebacker. And eventually here's a sneaky need in the draft that nobody is talking about. They need a running back this draft.
Oh, definitely. Because you don't see Tony Pollard. Are you going to sign him to a long-term deal next year?
Heck no. They wouldn't even sign Cedric Wilson for $7 million a year. They're not going to sign Tony Pollard to a big deal, especially after Zeke's deal. There's a possibility that we don't have either one of them next year. So drafting the back now kind of gives you a little bit of insurance because also both of those guys have shown you that they can get hurt too. So
yeah,
that's just a thought. Maybe a mid-round, 4th or 5th round pick going to one of those running backs. And in this draft, running back has been devalued a lot. So you can get a really good player in the mid-rounds. Maybe today.
Well, I guess if anything, this is at this point best player available. Yeah, because at this point you still have holes. You still tight end, wide receiver, linebacker. Still, to me, the middle of the defensive line as well. So you could take best player available if somebody just happens to fall. That's really really good. Names that you like? Any names that you like out there?
Tight ends wise, I like Trey McBride. I like Greg Dulcich. Those are the two guys that stand out to me in round 2. If it gets to us and we can pick. As far as linebackers, I know Nakobe Dean is still out there. So if he falls to us, I would very much love that because I would have taken him at 24.
Yeah.
And I can't really think of anything else right now. I kind of got to go look at the board, but those are names that just stand out to me off the top of the head.
Okay. All right. Well, cool beans. Anything that surprised you last night? I know you got to get ready to go for the weigh-in and stuff, but anything surprised you last night? The trades that started happening and flowing in there, the flow of the draft, anybody that scares you? I mean, Eagles, I've got, of course.
Philadelphia definitely had a really good draft last night. They did. I know we hate it. I tuned in to see what Philly 500's response was going to be. It don't look like you're going to be able to use nothing for a year unless they just completely stink.
Yeah, well,
they got
the guy I wanted. They got the guy I wanted. Maybe he ends up being maybe he ends up being like Giovanni and Clowney or something, or maybe he ends up just not being a great pass rusher. I don't know. That was one that hurt.
Way, if he's not a great pass rusher, he's still going to demand 2, and somebody else is going to be a great pass rusher off his back. So,
well, I'm just going to touch on this for a second, but with them trading for, it seems like the more these wide receiver deals happen, the dumber we look, or should I say Stephen Jones looks. A first for A.J. Brown, and he's getting $25 million a year. So
Yeah.
the longer this goes, the cheaper Amari Cooper actually looks. And the deal where we gave up, only got a 5th round in a swap of 6s. We got hosed in that deal.
We got hosed, and we knew we got hosed on day one. And, there's nobody that can tell me any different. But, hey, we're just going to keep drinking the Kool-Aid, let this front office cook and do whatever they do.
Well, they're happy as can be. And that's where I was saying it seems like, everything they do, they're in, defense mode of their decisions and everything else. But trying to put that face on it, oh, no, there's a plan here. No, this is some bullshit.
They know they're having a bad offseason, and it's like quicksand. They can't get their way out of it, and they're trying.
The saving grace for them may actually be that they have a good locker room and a good team that's already there working together. That may be the Cowboys are successful. It's not because of what the front office does. Those guys have really become a team, and they are blessed because almost all the players live there in the Dallas Metroplex area. They hang out together. They work out at Dak Prescott's house. The receivers, excuse me, my voice is hoarse from last night. And they have 100% participation in OTAs. That may be the only thing that keeps them together. That and maybe Deebo Samuels goes to the AFC. That would help.
Yeah, I don't know, but today I think Dallas can't miss today. And I remember last year I was getting my phone worked on, so I wasn't at your house. And they hit on a lot of day 2 guys. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that, they follow suit and that happens again today.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hopefully I'll hear back from you. So is the fight tonight, tomorrow night? When's the fight?
So the weigh-in's today, the fight is tomorrow. I'm going to miss the fight, but I've never been to a boxing weigh-in, so I'm going to go. It's Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. So Shakur used to train in Alexandria. So it's a unification title fight at 130 pounds, I believe. So, yeah, It's a big fight.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know you're living the life out there in Vegas right now.
Yeah, and I'm going to Gronk's pool party, too. So
shit.
I have to put, yeah.
All right. That shit might need to stay in Vegas.
It's Gronk and the Chain Smoker, so maybe it will stay in Vegas. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Got a couple of Cowboys YouTubers with me though, so some of the stuff I'm gonna post. We got Tuck out there.
Yeah.
Spoonie from Star Gang. Mm-hmm. If you guys are familiar with Star Gang podcast, pretty cool guys. So yeah. Yeah,
I met Tuck. I've been trying to find that tape because I interviewed him in Chicago at the draft before the night too. So yeah, definitely.
He's part of the media now. He was back there and backstage. It was crazy. So
it's crazy. Yeah, I've hung out with him. Watching Vosh last night with Colin Cowherd. It was like, damn, I was in Dallas and we were doing a broadcast and stuff. Now he's up there. I was like, damn.
Our time is coming, man. It is what it is.
Maybe.
It's coming.
We'll see. Yeah. All right, everybody, you're up to date. DMV is not quite as mad. He was pissed last night. I ain't gonna lie. You were pissed last night. You were like, I'm sick of this shit. Ready to take over.
And the more I think about it, I'm like, it's not the worst pick since the 90s. I mean, I think to me, it's only a bad pick because I have zero trust in Philbin being able to develop this guy.
That's the problem.
And I don't think that this pick was for McCarthy. I think it's for the next coach.
It may be. But I look at him, though. He is a road grader. He's raw. He needs to work on his footwork and his hands and things. And where he's the holding penalties, I think, come a lot when he's losing a guy. But he's only given up 2 sacks last year. So, and when he hits you, if he gets some body on you, he hits you, and you're definitely stuck.
Struggles with speed a little bit. But we haven't seen him at guard. So
and he's only 21 years old. He's only 21, and he pulls well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see.
All right, people. We will see you guys tonight, starting at 7:30. I hope you guys are ready for day 2, and I'll see you then.